Welcome back, everybody, to Late to the Party. This is a show where we review movies that are at least 10 years old and get perspectives from both post-boomers and some millennial weirdos. All these movies are at least 10 years old, and today we're reviewing a great film by the director Joe Johnston about a plucky young American guy who ends up being empowered to fight Nazis. I'm not talking about Captain America. I'm talking about The Rocketeer. Joe Johnston, his work includes other movies like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji, the original with Robin Williams, Jurassic Park 3, and my favorite, Captain America, the First Avenger. This movie also stars Billy Campbell, Jennifer Connelly, Timothy Dalton, Alan Arkin, Paul Sorvino, and Terry O'Quinn, who played the eponymous role of Howard Hughes. Minus the long hair and the long fingernails. Strangely, this movie has a rating of 6.5 on IMDb, only 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it gets knocked out of the park with 5 out of 5 stars on Walmart.com.
Woo, Walmart comes back.
Job hillbilly.
So this movie, for those of you that have not seen it, basically it's based on a comic series by artist and writer Dave Stevens from the early 80s. And the film is set in 1938 Los Angeles, California. The Rocketeer tells the story of stunt pilot Cliff Secord, who happens upon a hidden rocket-powered jetpack that he thereafter uses to fly without the need of an aircraft. His heroic deeds soon attract the attention of Howard Hughes and the FBI, who are hunting for the missing jetpack, as well as the Nazi operatives that stole it from Hughes in the first place. So my first question is, and this is kind of for all of you, and anybody can chime in when you want, but have any of you actually read the comic series that the movie is based on? And if you have, how would you compare the two? Anyone?
No.
I've never read the book.
No?
I have not, but the moment I found out it was a comic, I actually started looking for trades. I just don't know where to start, though. So,
you've read it though. How does it compare?
It's pretty much the same. The character, the Jennifer Connelly's character, looks more like Betty Page than she does in the movie, though. She's more Betty Page's, but I mean, it still has that same action adventure kind of like feel to it. I think it's pretty good correlation. It's a simple story in the comic. It's a simple story in the movie. So it works very well.
I remember when this movie came out, there wasn't a lot of comic book movies, and this was like a top movie that Wizard magazine put as one of the top comic book movies. I still never watched it. This was my first time watching it, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was
my first time watching it as well.
Really? So we have 3 noobs in this whole thing.
Wait,
no, fool, I haven't watched it either.
That's what I'm saying. 3.
Lego, have you seen it?
I've never seen it.
What?
We're all new.
You brought a comic movie to the comic cave that we've never watched, so thank you.
Yeah.
You guys got to trade in your comic cards. I'll take them right now.
If I recall correctly, it wasn't a success, was it? It wasn't a box office. It was considered a failure, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It's still, well, obviously the success of it, but like they showed it a few times on the old Disney Channel back in the day. You had the movie and then there was nothing for it. They didn't even make a VHS for it. And then it went into Disney Channel for a long time, and then it came off that. And then it got onto DVD, and then even that went out for a while. And now it's back on Disney Plus.
So it made all the qualifications for Walmart.com.
Exactly. This would be the movie that you would find in the dollar bin at the at the Walmart movie aisle.
That big old bundle of you have to dig in.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
Well, I'd like to start with Jose. Since this is in fact your first time watching the film, do you have any favorite aspects of the film? It doesn't necessarily have to be scenes, but are there any parts of the film that stood out to you as being exceptional and making you regret the fact that you've missed it for 20 years?
I think just I feel that it may have inspired some of the like settings for Batman the Animated Series, because it definitely has that noir, old time, you know, like giant buildings, the gargoyles on the side of the buildings, the giant blimps. I love all that. I love that. That was some of my favorite stuff in Batman the Animated Series. So to see this be made, I think 2 years before the series came out, I have to say, like, I think they may have taken some of those elements and incorporated them, and it works. I love the idea of, you know, nowadays there's this whole conspiracy that goes around that the Hollywood actors and everybody's like involved in some shady stuff. And to know that in 1991 and even back further, that they could have possibly been, you know, Nazis. I know I've read other works where they believe that certain people in Hollywood were considered communists, and there was all these witch hunts. So the fact that Hollywood has always had that stigma or that sort of affiliation with something shady going on behind the scenes, I love all of that. And so for it to come together, that's why I said you were right when you say that this is a very underrated Disney movie. So again, thank you for bringing it to our little show here, and I definitely enjoyed it. And I'm actually, like I said, I'm looking for the trades, and I'm looking for a copy of the DVD to own, because I really like this one.
I'm glad. Isaac, given that you are our resident master troll, what are your thoughts on the witty banter that takes place between the various characters in the movie? Did you find it funny or outdated?
Oh, I love that stuff. Let me tell you now. That there was up in my alley, I'll say, for sure. And if I could get more films and talkies like that, we would have a good day every day. It was fantastic. I love that type of movies, and when they do it in comic book movies, it's even better. Like, I was hoping that you're saying that the director of Captain America was the one who directed this, so you could totally see that vibe in it for sure.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of that in it, and it was entertaining, and I like that witty banner. And when I saw what the year it was, I was like, hell yeah, it's gonna be that type of film.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel from Captain America, and you know you get that idea because it's the same director. You can tell he's got the same kind of beats, the same kind of focus that he puts into the film. So, Lego. Do you think that this movie gives a faithful and accurate representation of life in Los Angeles in the late 1930s?
No.
He's a fairly well-read guy.
I highly doubt it.
So, the reason that I ask this is because we've seen a lot of films. We've seen a lot of films lately that take liberties with certain aspects of how historical events were taking place by swapping out people's races or genders or things like this, and kind of give a twist on it. Do you think that this movie represents that time frame more accurately than, or do you think it's still twisted in a way to make the movie more exciting or more accessible to the audience?
I didn't see anything in the movie that stood out as like glaringly modern, or like so I was actually thinking about this a little bit, like the gangsters and stuff, like they felt like comically caricatured, and I mean perhaps that's the point, but it's like it's almost too much in certain characters just felt like they were playing a character too much, and that could have been the acting, that could have been the writing, it could be a lot of things, but like we know gangsters existed back then. I don't know how accurate those portrayals were. I don't know how accurate like the Tinker guy is, you know. I think it's probably a pretty decent interpretation of 30s life, but I mean, just like with any work of art, there's going to be a bit of a distortion applied.
Little creative license.
Yeah.
I know that this is one of your favorite films, but if you had to select one of the actors from the film who did the best job, who played their role to the nth degree, which actor would you choose?
the hell kind of question is that? Like, all of them fit, and that's why the movie flows and moves so well. But my favorite character in it is Pete, because he's just like, he plays the father figure. He's the engineer. He just seems to fit with everybody. He went and talked to Howard Hughes about his own designs. And then at the same time, he's, you know, a guy that flies crop dusters. So it's just, I think Alan Arkin did a really good job bringing it. He's just very, very Alan Arkin-esque. I mean, he's like that in a lot of the films that he's in. He's very kind of to the point, very, very just genuine. I think they just say, okay, Alan Arkin, just be yourself. Just pretend you're a crop duster aviator guy who happens to know aeronautics. I think Alan Arkin did a good job. But the rest of them were kind of like, they had their place and they fit in. Even like what Lego was saying about the gangsters and stuff. You know, normally you see them as like totally like leave the cannoli kind of thing, and the FBI guys were all too FBI-ish.
It's too straight-laced and buttoned up. And... But I think Alan Arkin is my favorite. I think PB is my favorite character in it. Just as a side note, one of my favorite aspects of the film was that Billy Connolly's character, Cliff Secord, ends up socking FBI guys in the face, and he doesn't end up facing any charges. They just kind of like let it go. Like, men can settle it, and there's like no real consequence other than, you know, you got to heal up from the bruising that you get. But I just, you know, those were different times back then where you could probably get into a scuff with an officer of the law and not have to end up spending 15 to life in some penitentiary somewhere. So, Nate, this is kind of a meta question, but I thought this would be kind of appropriate for you. What do you think is the reason that this film has such a low rating from everyone except for the Walmart people?
I didn't think the movie was that great myself, to be honest. I thought that it seemed like one of those movies where I'm not sure, where did this fall chronologically versus Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy? Because it seemed like the FBI guys after it seemed like the FBI guys and that big ogre henchman type dude, it seemed very influenced by Dick Tracy, and it seemed like you could see that they were pulling influences from all over the place. But I just it wasn't bad, but it seemed like kind of like, remember how Jose thought about The Matrix? How it seemed like it was glaringly a bunch of things that were pulled from here and there for him. It seemed like that for me. It seemed like it was too Dick Tracy and too Indiana Jones. And like, he's the Rocketeer, right? When does he fucking do anything with the rocket? Like, I wanted him to do, like, it's just a mode of transportation for some dude to go around and get into hijinks. See, man, like, I was waiting for like even when the blimp takes off, he doesn't he just lands on the blimp and runs around again. Like, there's the only hijinks he gets into on the rocket really is when he's flying around the club, and you can see it's all wire stunts. So I was just kind of like, I could see people in the boardroom saying that they wanted to add this piece to it and they wanted to add that piece to it. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't seamless to me. It wasn't what I would expect from Disney, given the polish that they were putting on movies at the time.
So what you're saying is that you're in the non-Walmart category.
at least for this movie.
Gotcha. Well, for anybody that wants to jump in, I'd like to hear if anybody has any favorite scenes that they want to bring up, and we can start again with Jose. Is there any one scene out of the movie that stands out as your favorite?
Yeah, when they're having the argument on the blimp, and the guy tells them, what does he say? Like something like "shut up" or he, like, I don't know. But the final line is "you actor," and the guy gets so highly offended and then punches him I don't know why. It was just overacting. It was pretty hilarious. Like, he took offense to being called an actor. Like, I don't know how that guy was managed to make the word actor an insult, but I guess this is 1930, so and the delivery. So I don't know. I just enjoyed that whole little scuffle on the blimp.
Isaac?
My favorite scene was when the mobster realizes he's a Nazi and he doesn't give a shit. He's done a lot of bad, but he doesn't work with Nazis. And then when they're all shooting out with the Nazis, one of the mobsters is shooting, and the FBI agent looks at him, and they look at each other, and they're like, "Nah, fuck this. Let's kill the Nazis." Even though we're against each other, we're more against these guys, so fuck them.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Wasn't there a scene where the Joker finds out, or wasn't there like a crossover where the Joker finds out that the Red Skull's a Nazi and he doesn't want to work with them anymore?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a Captain America Batman crossover that they did.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it reminded me of.
Lego, what about you?
I like the scene where Billy and his dad were trying to take off from the FBI, and he's like, "Oh, the truck won't start. Oh no, we're screwed." And he's like, "Just steer." And he like rockets them down the road. That was awesome. I was genuinely laughing there. It was pretty funny. I was hoping for more of that.
Liz?
My favorite scene?
Yeah.
I think it's just one of the. There's no dialogue. It's just the iconic thing where he's strapping on everything and he's running up to the top at the end, and you see the blimp with the Nazi symbol on the side, with the swastika on the side, and the American flag flying, and the spotlight goes on, and he does his little pose with his gun, and then he takes off. That's like classic comic book right there. That's everything that even the Rocketeer comic, that's like actually one of the covers for a lot of the Rocketeer issues and comics. And I love just that scene. I get excited when I see it. Oh, here comes. Yes, there it is.
Nate, you have a favorite scene?
My favorite scene is he's ditching his rocket and his helmet in that laundry room, and he comes back into the room, and it's full of all the bags of laundry. That's a subtle, chuckle that I felt was genuine. That didn't feel like a boardroom chuckle.
All right. Well, on that note, let's go to buckets. Let's start with Jose. How many buckets, sir?
Sadly, it isn't an epic movie. I still feel like there was parts that the creators of Batman the Animated Series may have borrowed from it. But I still like it. Like I said, I'm still on the search for the comics. For what it was, 1991. I feel like this movie would probably benefit from a remake, modern day. Have Alex Ross draw the cover to the movie. That would be awesome. This is like definitely up his alley. So, but I'm not going to score it low. I definitely thought it was a great movie. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10.
Right. Isaac?
I'm going to go with also a 9. That movie is not perfect, but it's great. And the graphics weren't even that bad. Like I was thinking that they would be with all that flying and craziness. But yeah, 9 for me as well.
Lego?
Everything with the flying looked awful. It wasn't epic. It was fun. If we're rating it off how much fun I had while I was watching it, it's pretty high up there. But I think like the scores that we see online of like a 6.5, 7 sounds about right to me.
This isn't a 10?
It's not a 10.
Liz?
I love this movie, but it also isn't the perfect movie either, but it still gets a 9 out of me. It's got everything I want in a movie.
Nate?
I'm with Lego. I think that people are giving appropriate scores. The streets don't lie on this one. I'll give it a 6.
I'm gonna get you and Lego matching berets and like long cigarette sticks so you guys can watch these highfalutin movies together.
Actually, if you look back through our shows, I probably like a 95% match on my scores with Isaac more than Lego.
Yeah, which is shocking to me that you didn't enjoy this film. But
I didn't say if I wasn't hosting a show as a movie critic, I might have had more fun with it. But seeing as how you go out of your way to shit on anything I put up there, I have to put on my parade for you.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
So the track record
Hey,
is.
it got a 6. It got, no. I'm just saying that. Those things are my honest. Was I entertained? Yeah, but was it iconic? Does it hold up to the bucket system? It's not a 10 bucket movie for me. I don't see any cultural reference from it. What Jose? I'm not gonna shit on what Jose says, but if you're gonna make something from the 30s, it's gonna look like a Batman because that's what the Batman was. The animated series was set up based on like a steampunkish time frame. So I don't think Batman was based on this. The acting was fucking horrible. Like Meryl Streep could have put on a lot better mid-Atlantic accent than a lot of those guys. It got better as it went, but when we first saw those FBI guys, that was fucking horrible, especially the main bad guy or bad good guy or whatever. The guy who gets punched in the face, that guy. Yeah, I wasn't feeling him.
He was also in The Office for an episode.
Yeah, and they kicked him out.
I just wanted on record that I have officially broken 2 of our group. I've broken Nate and I've broken Lego.
What's wrong with you?
And I would like to also note that this is back to back for me because the last review that I did was for The Last Airbender. So I'm on a 2 for 2. Like Jose, you and Isaac are next. But
I'm broken.
Yeah, you said you're required to shit on every movie that I present, so I'd say that's broken.
No, I said that because you shit on every movie I present, that I have to put on a certain beret to watch yours.
Stop.
So when it's a movie that Josh picks,
I can edit that all out, Josh.
I know. That's okay. Everybody else knows.
Knowing is half the battle.
So I thought about this movie in light of the bucket list that you gave. And I really do think it's a strong 9. It has a great story because you're talking about the classic motif of, kill the dragon, save the girl. This is what Cliff Secord ends up doing. I think that the acting is on point for everybody. It really is a comic book kind of movie that's set in that kind of genre. This is what you would expect from these kinds of things. And you see some parallels like that in Captain America, the First Avenger. And, those things don't seem out of place for the time frame that it's being set in. And I think I enjoyed even the stuff that we get from a lot of the secondary and tertiary characters like Lothar or Bigelow or even the Feds. I didn't find their acting out of place at all. I think this movie does hold up over time. I know that there are some parts of the flying where it's clearly like a doll that they're stringing around and there's like wind blowing on it and stuff like that. But I don't think it was that out of place any more so than when you watch like T2. There are parts that these days we could do a lot better job of, but I think it holds up. And I think
T2
this movie has a lot of forward influence, especially when you consider that it's made by Disney. And everything that they've done with like the MCU and the Incredibles, you just got a lot of the same kind of beats and things that are taking place from the Rocketeer into those movies. I don't think that that's incidental. And as for being fun to watch, I mean, does a duck with a boner pull up weeds? The answer is yes. It's absolutely fun to watch. So,
I enjoyed it 100%.
So there you go. That's our ratings for the Rocketeer from 1991. And I'm going to be turning over the reins to my good friend and fellow Rocketeer lover, Jose. Jose, do you have anything for us?
We're not doing that.
We're not?
No,
We're throwing the 5 picks on the wheel.
6 picks on the wheel.
Back to that?
Well,
Yeah.
no.
You don't remember?
We talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this last
He
week.
gets to put the-
We lost like half of our viewers by not doing
Yeah.
the wheel.
So Jose's gonna throw up 6 movies that he's picking now.
Gotcha.
And
And then, yeah.
All right.
Jose's gonna
You
put
cut.
6 movies on the wheel. We'll pick 10. The people on the live stream will suggest movies, and we'll do the Roman Gladiator thumbs up or thumbs down amongst us. So that way, nothing shitty gets on the wheel, and we don't get stuck watching murder porn. I think it should be fun because they can put more movies onto it, and we can put on our little Caesar hats and give the thumbs up or thumbs down to people's suggestions. I think that'll be a fun segment too.
All right, you want me
So
to
we
give you
still
my
get the
6?
fan interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want me to give you the 6 picks now or wait for the live?
No,
We'll wait for it.
Okay,
We'll,
cool.
We'll do a cut there. So
All right.
So you've seen now a review for 1991's The Rocketeer. So for late to the party, I'm Josh.
And Liz.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Jose.
I'm Nate.
And we were late to the
Next week.
party.